Darkness fell upon Northern California in the late 1960s. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the landscape. The once vibrant streets of California, filled with the sounds of laughter and music, began to quiet down. The air grew cooler, and an eerie stillness settled over the towns and cities. It was during these twilight hours that a sense of unease began to creep into the hearts of the residents. A shadow lurked in the night. This figure, barely visible in the dim light, moved with a purpose. It was as if the darkness itself had come alive, taking on a sinister form. The shadow seemed to glide through the alleys and streets, always staying just out of sight, yet its presence was palpable. People would glance over their shoulders, feeling the hairs on the back of their necks stand up, sensing that something or someone was watching them. This was no ordinary criminal. This was someone who thrived in the darkness, someone who found pleasure in the fear and chaos they caused. The figure was methodical, calculating, and always one step ahead of the authorities. The police were baffled, unable to predict where or when the next attack would occur. This was a predator who reveled in fear, who seemed to feed off the terror of their victims. This was a predator who reveled in fear. The mere thought of this shadowy figure sent shivers down the spines of the residents. They would lock their doors and windows, hoping to keep the darkness at bay. But no matter how hard they tried, the fear was always there, lurking just beneath the surface. It was a fear that gripped the entire community, a fear that would not easily be shaken. He was the Zodiac Killer, a name that would become synonymous with terror, a name that would haunt the dreams of many. The Zodiac Killer was not just a criminal. He was a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that true evil could be lurking just around the corner. His crimes were brutal, his methods chilling, and his identity remained a mystery. This chilling tale, as reported by Gritty Crimes, delves into one of America's most enduring mysteries. The story of the Zodiac Killer is one that has fascinated and horrified people for decades. It is a tale of fear, of mystery, and of a relentless pursuit for justice. Through the eyes of those who lived through it, we will explore the depths of this dark chapter in American history. Prepare yourself for a journey into the mind of a monster. We will delve into the psyche of the Zodiac Killer, attempting to understand what drove him to commit such heinous acts. We will explore the clues he left behind, the taunting letters and cryptic ciphers that baffled even the most seasoned investigators. This is not just a story of crime, it is a story of the human mind, of the darkness that can reside within. The Zodiac Killer terrorized innocent people. His victims were ordinary men and women, people who were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Their lives were cut short in the most brutal of ways, leaving behind grieving families and a community in shock. The fear spread like wildfire, and no one felt safe. The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror left a lasting scar on Northern California. He seemed to vanish into thin air after each attack. Despite the best efforts of the police, the Zodiac Killer always managed to slip through their fingers. He was a ghost, a phantom that left no trace. The frustration and desperation of the authorities grew with each passing day as they struggled to bring this elusive killer to justice. The sense of helplessness was overwhelming and the fear only grew stronger. His calling card? Taunting letters and cryptic ciphers sent directly to the press. These messages were filled with arrogance, a chilling reminder of the killer's confidence in his ability to evade capture. The ciphers were complex, designed to confuse and mislead. They were a game, a twisted puzzle that the Zodiac Killer enjoyed playing. Each letter was a taunt, a challenge to the authorities and the public. These messages were filled with arrogance. The Zodiac Killer took pleasure in the fear and confusion he caused. He reveled in the attention, knowing that his letters would be splashed across the front pages of newspapers. He was a master manipulator, using the media to spread his message of terror. The public was captivated, unable to look away from the unfolding horror. They boasted of his crimes. They promised more violence. The public was terrified. The Zodiac Killer's letters were not just a confession, they were a promise of more bloodshed to come. The fear was palpable, and the sense of dread hung heavy in the air. The community was on edge, waiting for the next attack, knowing that it could come at any moment. This was the reality of living in the shadow of the Zodiac Killer. Imagine living in Northern California during the Zodiac's reign of terror. The foggy streets of San Francisco, usually bustling with life, now seemed like the setting of a horror movie. Every shadow, every corner held a potential threat. The air was thick with fear and uncertainty. A simple drive on a secluded road could turn deadly. The once peaceful and scenic routes, surrounded by towering redwoods and serene landscapes, became places of dread. The beauty of the Northern Californian countryside was overshadowed by the lurking danger. A romantic evening under the stars could be your last. Couples who once found solace in the quiet nights now felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. The vast, starry sky seemed to mock the terror that gripped the land below. The unknown threat gripped the region. Headlines screamed of the Zodiac Killer's latest taunts and cryptic messages. Each new letter sent waves of panic through the community as people tried to decipher the mind of a madman. Fear became a constant companion. People were on edge. The usual hustle and bustle of daily life was replaced with a tense silence. Every stranger was a potential threat, every unfamiliar face a possible danger. They avoided being alone, especially at night. Safety in numbers became the unspoken rule. Friends and families formed tight-knit groups, moving together like schools of fish trying to evade a predator. The once vibrant streets became eerily quiet. Businesses closed early, and the nightlife that once thrived in Northern California towns dwindled to nothing. The silence was deafening, a stark contrast to the usual lively atmosphere. The sound of a car backfiring sent shivers down spines. Every loud noise, every unexpected sound, was a reminder of the ever-present danger. People jumped at the slightest provocation, their nerves frayed and raw. Trust eroded as suspicion grew. Neighbors who once shared friendly waves and casual conversations now eyed each other with distrust. The sense of community was shattered, replaced by a pervasive paranoia. Was your neighbor the monster hiding in plain sight? The fear of the unknown turned everyone into a suspect. The Zodiac Killer's shadow loomed large, casting a pall over the idyllic suburban life. The question lingered in everyone's mind: who could be trusted in such dark times? The Zodiac Killer craved attention. He wasn't just a murderer, he was a master manipulator who thrived on the fear and chaos he created. His actions were meticulously planned to ensure maximum impact. He didn't just want to kill. Each murder was a piece of a larger puzzle, a dark game he played with the public and the authorities. His crimes were brutal, but they were also a means to an end. He wanted to play with the authorities. The Zodiac Killer saw himself as an intellectual superior, taunting the police with clues and daring them to catch him. His letters were filled with riddles and cryptic messages, each one a challenge to the detectives on his trail. He wanted to instill fear in the hearts of millions. The Zodiac's reign of terror wasn't just about the physical act of killing, it was about the psychological torment he inflicted on an entire community. People lived in constant fear, never knowing when or where he would strike next. His primary weapon of terror? Communication. Through his letters, he reached into the homes of ordinary people, spreading his message of fear and dominance. Each letter was a carefully crafted piece of his macabre puzzle. He sent letters to newspapers. These letters were chilling. They were not just confessions but declarations of his twisted philosophy. He wanted the world to know that he was in control, that he was the puppet master pulling the strings. They detailed his crimes in disturbing detail. He included cryptic ciphers. These ciphers were more than just codes. They were a testament to his cunning and his desire to be remembered. Each cipher was a piece of his identity, a clue to his true self. He claimed these ciphers held the key to his identity. But solving them was no easy task. They were complex, designed to confound and mislead. The Zodiac reveled in the confusion and frustration he caused. But these were more than just messages. They were a twisted game. A game where the stakes were life and death, and the players were the police, the public, and the Zodiac himself. He thrived on the attention, the fear, and the challenge. They were a twisted game. Each letter, each cipher was a move in this deadly game of cat and mouse. The Zodiac was always one step ahead, always in control. The Zodiac challenged the police to catch him. He taunted them, mocked their efforts, and dared them to solve his puzzles. It was a game he intended to win, a game that left a lasting scar on the psyche of a nation. The ciphers were complex. They were filled with strange symbols and codes. Cracking these codes became an obsession for investigators. They knew that within these puzzles might lie the key to unmasking the killer. Some of the ciphers were solved. They provided glimpses into the killer's mind. They revealed a disturbed individual. He craved recognition. He fantasized about becoming infamous. But the most crucial ciphers, the ones that potentially held his name, remained unsolved. They became a source of immense frustration for law enforcement. The police launched a full-scale investigation. They chased down every lead. They interviewed countless witnesses. They pored over every detail of the crime scenes. The pressure was immense, but the Zodiac was cunning. He left few clues. He blended into society. He was a phantom. He seemed to be always one step ahead. This only intensified the mystery surrounding him. The case became a race against time. Each day that passed brought the fear of another attack. The investigation dragged on for years. Each potential breakthrough led to a dead end. The frustration mounted. Theories abounded, but none could be definitively proven. The lack of physical evidence was a major obstacle. DNA technology was in its infancy. Fingerprinting was helpful, but the Zodiac often wore gloves. The investigators were forced to rely heavily on eyewitness accounts and the cryptic messages. Years turned into decades. The Zodiac Killer was never caught. The case went cold. It became one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in American history. The lack of closure haunted the victims' families. It tormented the investigators. Who was the Zodiac Killer? Was he still alive? These questions lingered. They fueled countless books, documentaries, and conspiracy theories. The Zodiac Killer left an indelible mark on American culture. He became a symbol of evil. He represented the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. His crimes inspired countless fictional villains. His cryptic messages continue to fascinate amateur sleuths and cryptography enthusiasts. The mystery of his identity remains a subject of intense debate and speculation. Why did the killing stop? Did the Zodiac die? Was he apprehended for another crime? These questions continue to plague investigators and armchair detectives alike. The Zodiac Killer's case serves as a chilling reminder that some mysteries may never be solved. It highlights the limits of human knowledge and the enduring power of the unknown. Though decades have passed, the desire for justice remains. The victims' families deserve closure. Society needs to know that even the most elusive criminals are not beyond the reach of the law. The case serves as a reminder of the importance of continued investigation into cold cases. Advances in technology, particularly DNA analysis, offer renewed hope that one day, the Zodiac Killer may be unmasked. This chilling tale of the Zodiac Killer is just one of many captivating stories you can find on Gritty Crimes. Like and subscribe to our channel to dive deeper into the world of true crime. Uncover the mysteries, explore the evidence, and join the hunt for justice.